All right, so we're gonna put this banner on. I have some rubbing alcohol here to make sure the window's nice and clean. Get off any bug juice or tar that kicked up off the road recently. These instructions are for a local squad who I just made some banners for in bulk, but this will apply to any banner that you buy from me on the website or directly. All right, we're clean. To make your life a little easier, you can tape off the trim. That way when you go to tuck the banner into the corners and the edges, it doesn't try to stick to the trim. Doesn't need to be perfect, just get it covered up best you can. It's actually not necessary, it just makes things easier. Oh, I'll get that. Guess it's time for a new light. No, maybe not. All right. So you probably want to measure out where the center of your banner is. I already know where it is on this guy. And most cars nowadays, they have the rear view mirror mounted to the glass, so you already know where the center is. You can see where that's at. You just line up the center of your banner. In this case, it's the middle of the big C there with that mark on the glass. You can take a bunch of time to measure from here to here on both sides and make sure it's the exact same, blah, 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 blah. What I like to do, if you want to bring the camera over here, I'll just pick a point, like maybe the end of the trim. It comes along the door here, and I'll just line up both sides to that spot. No measuring required. Tape. I'm gonna turn off this one, it keeps flashing. My tape is in the way, so I can't see that over here. Just move it out. Okay. I like to put a piece of tape in the center so that I can apply both sides of the banner individually. So right here I have some vinyl cleaner and application fluid. I buy this stuff in bulk because I do it for a living, but you can just fill any spray bottle full of water and put 1 drop of dish soap or baby soap, whatever you got on hand. 1 drop. If you put more than that, you're probably gonna run into issues. All right, so I got it centered. Got it tacked down in the middle. Go ahead and pull it out gently to about halfway. I like to spray the vinyl and the glass just to make sure everything's totally covered, because any dry spots are going to stick right away and you'll get a big air bubble. You don't have to pull super hard, but put a little bit of tension on it. I got it lined up with the end of my piece of trim there that I talked about earlier. Where's my squeegee? Gotta run inside and grab the squeegee. All right, back in business. Come on over to the other side, do the same thing. Can take this center hinge off because we don't need it held in place anymore. Pull this piece back. Get everything wet on this side. Since it's tacked down pretty good on the pillar over there, you can pull a little harder now and line it up with your piece of trim, or however you decided to keep it even on both sides. That's the beauty of the wet install. You can pick it up and down, up and down. After you do it 4 or 5 times, if you still can't get it in the right spot, you probably want to spray it again. Depending on how warm the air is where you're at, it can start to evaporate underneath pretty quick. So I have it in place. If you want to reduce the amount of scratches you get from your squeegee, you can spray your solution on the banner itself on the top. That way it just glides over a little easier, especially on chrome stuff like these letters. And now you want to squeegee from the middle down and also from the middle out. Everything with vinyl, you start in the center. So you don't want to dig into it. You want to roll over it like that. And you can push pretty hard. If you don't feel it in your shoulder when you're done, you probably aren't pressing hard enough. The harder you press, the less bubbles you'll have. Make sure you overlap your strokes so that you're not missing any of the solution underneath the vinyl. So you come out to one edge and then you switch sides. You don't need to come all the way to the edge, we do those last. So now we got the bottom half done. We'll do the top half. This is why the tape helps on top. If I was trying to do this and didn't have tape, we'd have a huge gap in here because the top of the banner would be stuck to the roof. But this lets it suck up nice and close. Other side. Oh, by the way, I'm using a felt edge squeegee. You can get these at any sign supply shop for like $2 or $3 a piece. Amazon Prime for the same price. They come in handy for other stuff too, so it couldn't hurt to have them in your garage. You don't want to use the hard edge, you're going to get serious scratching issues. Okay, so everything out to the edges is good to go. Now you want to release this tension that's stopping it from coming up to the trim by just pulling off the side. Now, this is a time where you do want to dig in instead of roll over. You're not going over any letters now, so you're not going to risk peeling anything up. Just work out all that slack. Take your freshly snapped off razor, and once you get this stuff tucked in as good as you can actually take the hard edge of the squeegee, and that can be your guide for the blade. You just take it right up to the corner. Once that's done, just take this little scrap off, and now you're going to be able to really tuck that top edge in. And you'll want to use the hard side of the squeegee for this, so you can really get it up tight against the trim. We'll go around and do the same thing on the other side. This part doesn't really matter center out because all the bubbles and tension are gone already. use the, I'll figure out which hand's better to do this with. So use the hard edge again to be a guide for the blade. Just slide everything up together to the corner. We'll take this scrap off. Now, some windows trim are better than others for this last part. This Mustang has a really nice trim. It's still pretty fresh because the car is not that old. You can just put the blade up against the trim and it'll guide itself all the way from one side to the other. Just pulling it up enough so I can see where I stopped. Like, this is so easy. I'm left-handed, I'm terrible with my left hand, but as long as you have it up tight against the trim, all you gotta do is pull your whole arm across and it'll guide itself, no problem. Remove your tape from the beginning. And at this point, I like to dry it off with a clean rag. And then once it's dry, you can really see where there's any bubbles. And as long as you're not doing it outside in the sun, you should still have some time to use the squeegee to push those out. You want to kind of get down and look at it from the, I don't know, from the side would be the right word. And you'll really be able to see where there's any bubbles. I don't see any on this side. And while the banner's still freshly on there, don't wipe up, because you'll probably rip up the bottom and you'll have to buy another banner. I mean, I make money, but you lose money. Yeah, we're good, no bubbles. Sometimes the corners don't want to stick at the beginning, so you may need to come through with your squeegee and push them down a couple times. Maybe just go over the bottom one more time, since that's the part that all the elements rush up against at whatever, 100 miles an hour or however fast you like to drive. Never hurts to just go over the edges again. Sometimes the corners really just don't want to stick because it's hard to clean all the dirt out of there. And once they get wet, when you spray your solution on, it kind of pulls some dirt out from under the trim. If that happens, you can cut just a tiny little corner out. No one's ever going to see it, especially if your banner's black. And I'd rather have a little corner missing and have the banner last for 5 years than have it peel up a couple of weeks down the road. There's still some air trapped on some of these edges, so I'm just gonna push really hard to get it out. And we're good. At this point, if you have a heat gun, just put on like medium heat and keep it kind of far away. Just make sure you get all the adhesive on the underneath fully cured. If you don't have a heat gun, just run the hot air in your car all on blast for like 10-15 minutes and you should be good to go. This banner's done. Peace.